Hello everyone and welcome to day, I think this is technically 11, 10 of my 30-day challenge of uploading something every single day. So I just get stuff out there and stop worrying about perception and trying to make things perfect. So, my video for yesterday that was actually uploaded today because I missed my yesterday video, was about, some of the funny things about living with a disability, some of the funnier moments that arise. But I did mention briefly one thing that I have to do every day to take care of my left eye. And that is take meds. Take a lot of meds in order to keep the pressure in my left eye down. Hold on. Look at this just stack of shit I have to take. Twice a day. Once a day at night. Twice a day. This is the literal blood pressure medication that I'm taking because it also happens to lower the blood pressure of my eye. But why am I bringing this up, you may ask? Because I wanted to talk about a couple of really, personal struggles that I've had while growing up with golden horse syndrome and whatnot, that caused me a lot of grief when I was younger. And still, I have remnants of it today. But it is all around the subject of wanting to fit in with people. And so there will be a couple of different stories that are told today, but my main one I want to focus on, because I don't want to make the video too long. Maybe I save the other one for next time, too. We'll see. But I want to focus on this eye stuff, because I actually love the look of this eye, not when it's all red and inflamed and unhappy and looks bothered, but I actually like that my eye looks like two different colors, and I don't know, I think it looks cool. Just, from a looks-wise perspective, it looks cool to me. But when I was younger, that was not the case. And I was dealing with so much stuff when I was younger, like constant surgeries, constant doctor's appointments, that would all, take me out of the loop with other kids. I'd have to leave school for doctor's appointments. My doctors are, 2 hours away from where we live, because, Little Miss Special here needs, the top doctors, because this condition is not, common, and my mom wanted me to get the best care possible. So we go all the way up into the big city for that stuff. Sorry, I think there are kids playing somewhere. Yeah, there are. There are. If you hear calling and yelling, it's kids running around. Anyways, but I would be taken out of school for stuff like that. And then I would miss school because I had surgeries. And then when I came back, I wouldn't be able to play with my friends. And I would have to sit on the stairs because I was not allowed to run around because I just had my face worked on. Oh, my jaw was being made. They were taking ribs and putting it in my jaw. They were making me an ear. This is when I was older, though. A lot of the stuff when I was please ignore it whenever I do that. That is such an embarrassing thing to me. I can't really control it. Okay, please ignore it. I'm begging you. It took me so long to eat. I had to do G-tube food when I was younger. Essentially, my jaw wasn't large enough to where I could, eat all my nutrients by myself in a day. So I had a G-tube a gastronomy tube that was placed into my stomach that I fed myself additional food every single day. And I had to do that at school at lunch and leave my friends during lunchtime. Or if I was eating food by mouth, I would just take a really long time and be the last person at the table. Because when you're a kid, who the fuck wants to sit around for 20 extra minutes after you're done eating so the slowpoke can finish? So I was left alone a lot. The point of all of that story being is I was isolated a lot because I had to do so much extra care for my body. And that gave me some kinds of resentment towards having to do all of this extra shit. And I was so mad at being different when I was younger. All I wanted was to fit in and not have to do all this extra stuff. Like, why couldn't I just have been born normal? Like, that kind of thing. And so, like, with any of the stuff that I had control over to take care of myself, I stopped doing because I was just fed up with all of it, and I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm going to be a normal kid. I'm not going to do all this extra shit. So, that's some of the backstory. Unintentionally, I did not eat enough at all for a very long time, because I would dump my YouTube food down the drain and pretend like I had eaten it just so I wouldn't have to give myself YouTube food. And it was genuinely nothing about not wanting to eat for anything of like image or not liking the way my body looked in terms of weight. It was just that I didn't want to be different from anyone else. And I didn't want to like take the extra time to give myself the food the not normal way, okay? I was trying so hard to conform that I starved myself to the point where I like still have a hard time eating enough food for me to gain weight. Now, yes, there are other factors. I have a small jaw. I have a fast metabolism. But I permanently I hope I can change it. It's going to take a lot of work. I changed my body's natural instinct for hunger. I don't get hungry. So I have to remember to eat now. And so I have to like track my calories in order to get enough calories to gain weight, kind of thing. And so food is like a second thought to me. That was the first story. I said I was going to do both, but then I just went into the YouTube one. That whole thing was going on for years. I don't know, it's really hard when, I don't fault my parents for it, although they should have caught it, but they were both working full-time to try to help support, like, the whatever, help support me and help support our family so we could pay for my medical bills. I love the American healthcare system. I love it so much. Anyways, so I was left at home alone a lot, like when I was 10 and going upwards. I had people like 2 minutes down the road from me that are very close to me. They're like literally extended family. We're not related, but in terms of relationship, all of our families are really close. So if I really needed anything, I could always go down there really easily. Yeah. So I wasn't in any danger. I was genuinely, generally, a pretty safe kid. I wasn't doing any rambunctious shit that would, like, potentially burn down the house or anything. But with all of that, like, lack of supervision, I starved myself for years because we didn't have all that extra food in the house either. So I couldn't let my parents know that I wasn't eating my YouTube food because I would get in trouble for not eating my YouTube food. And then, so I couldn't let my parents know that we didn't have food in the house because that would let them know that I wasn't eating my food. And then they would find out that I wasn't eating my food, and then I would get in trouble. I had this all mapped out. Anyways, that's story number 1. I will wrap up the point of these things later at the end, okay? Stay tuned. Oh, shit. Now, to move on to the eye story. My eye. I've not been able to see for a long time. Forever. For my whole life. I've always, well, sorry for that. Burping in your faces. Rude of me. I apologize. I actually don't. I think it's funny. People say I have bad manners, but I think it's funny. Sorry if you don't, but whatever. I have always been legally blind in this eye, but when I was younger, I was able to see lights, shapes, and I was able to read if things were like this far from my face, about 1.5 or 2 feet. I could read a book like this, or like this, or something. I could read letters if they were really large on something, but I was still considered legally blind. Now, because of my coloboma, this is something that we did not know at this is something we did not know at the time, but having a coloboma, this keyhole pupil shape, puts you at higher risk for having your retina become detached. And no one told us this because, I don't know, we were dealing with like 75 other different facets of having golden hair syndrome, so the eye was not as much of a concern as like getting me able to talk, eat, and breathe without needing more extra support in other areas of my life. Okay, so the eye kind of fell to a lower, priority tier. Then, since I didn't know it, we were not paying extra attention to it. But we had this neighbor move in when I was, 10. And this neighbor and I were about a month away in age. But this neighbor had this younger brother. He was about 3 years younger than us. So, wait, no. This wasn't when I was 10. This was when I was 8. Because this guy was 4. Yeah, no, he was 4 years younger. 4 years younger than us. Okay. So, he was 4. I was 8. I was just going over to meet them the first 3 times or whatever. On the 3rd time, I'm jumping with him on the trampoline, getting to know him, and this is a rambunctious 4-year-old. And he says, "Hey, you want to see a trick?" I say, "Sure." And you know what his trick was? Ramming into me at full speed on the trampoline. And the way our heights was just so matched up to where his head and my face, he just went boom right here with his fat little head, okay? And it was so fucking hard. Now, I try not to cry because that was very hard. Tears are welling up, and I'm like, oh wow, such a cool trick. checking to see if my jaw's okay. Lo and behold, we did not know this at the time. And we don't even know if it was this event specifically that detached my retina, but this is the one thing that had stood out during that time period that sounds like it could have been the thing, okay? That we didn't know this at the time. That my retina was detached. But slowly, over the next 6 months, I start saying, wow, I can't really see much out of my left eye. And I am noticing eye changes in my sight. And I bring it up a few times. And I'm like, that's odd. But I'm 8. I'm not paying that close attention. My mom's trying to get me in to see specialists. God knows how long that takes. So we're on, like, wait list for fucking months. Okay? We see a couple people, they're like, nothing's wrong. And then, lo and behold, we finally get into the, Seattle, or the Children's Hospital specialist, and they take one look at my eye, and they're like, your retina's detached. And I'm like, okay, how do we fix it? Well, how long has it been detached for? I don't know. It had been detached for 6 months before it had been caught. I don't know if other people we went to didn't catch it because of my eye shape being different or whatever happened. But essentially, retinas are really important to reattach sooner rather than later because the chances of sight returning, the longer it takes for you to return the retina to its proper position, the lower the chances you will regain sight, okay? And we hear this, I'm upset, because at the time I'm 8, I didn't really realize my mom had been trying to solve the problem. But she had, and then I was essentially, like, rushed into emergency eye surgery to reattach this retina. Okay. Fast forward 6 months. I am now able to see a little bit. We're doing check-ins. My eyesight is improving a little bit more, which is really cool and unexpected. No one really thought that I would be able to regain eyesight because of how long it took for my retina to be reattached. Also, PSA, for anyone listening still, there are things that you can check for. There's like a potential like self-diagnosing checklist that you can do to let you know that you have symptoms of a retina detachment, and that would mean you need to get your butt over to the eye doctor right away, as stated before, because timeliness of reattaching the retina is really important for your sight. Now, my mom didn't know this. This is not a widespread issue. A lot of people don't know this. If we had known this, we might have caught it a lot earlier. But my eyesight's improving. Great. Yay, happened. I'm still legally blind. It was never going to get back, like, up to this level, up to normal vision. We were hoping to regain a level of vision to where I would still be able to have some benefit of having 2 eyes. Right now, there's not really much benefit. But lo and behold, after 6 months, I started to notice, I was getting pain in my eye. Ow. It hurts. It's like this deep pressure behind my eye socket, throbbing so bad. And we go do a checkup. And they're like, oh, your eye pressure is a little high. That's not good. Guess what? The silicone that they use to fill this, like, keep my retina in place, was supposedly, we're still not even sure if this is what's causing the problem all these years later, because I have a cataract and all of this other stuff. is blocking the drainage system of the eye, so fluid is building up in my eye. So I have glaucoma now. This has been an issue since I was like 12, okay? Or 13. My timeline's fuzzy. I don't fucking know. I don't know exactly how long. It's been a long time. I'm sorry. The backstory was really long. Now we can return to the point of conforming and how badly it can injure you. Okay? It started out with one eye med. I was so bad at taking my eye meds. And a lot of it was just like, fuck you. Are you telling me I have to do more shit now? This is such crap. I don't want to be different. The whole thing is stupid. I was telling you guys for months I couldn't see. You didn't do anything. What the fuck is this shit? And now I have to take meds and still do more extra shit? No, I'm not doing it. And so I didn't do it for a long time. And part of it was that, I was a kid and I was not going to be 100% consistent. But a lot of it was just anger, frustration towards the whole thing. And so I did not take my eye meds properly. And my glaucoma got a lot worse. And slowly but surely, they started adding me to more and more medications because the eye drops weren't working, even though I don't know if they weren't working or it was just because I was not doing them properly. Anyways, lo and behold, fast forward all these years later, I have so much more work I have to do on a daily basis. And one of the hardest parts about it is that not only do I have to do more work now, I likely caused myself to be in the situation that I am in now with my left eye. And that situation is that the optic nerve in this left eye is shot. That means the chance to regain any vision if they were to remove cataracts or do other preventative measures is kind of moot. There's nothing that they can do, at least at this stage in scientific development in our world, to give me vision again. And so the only reason I still have this eye is to make sure that if I, for some horrific reason, happen to lose my right eye in some terrible tragic accident, I will still be able to tell whether it's day or night. And we are only keeping this eye for that reason, and in hopes that some long day in the future of scientific advancement, we will be able to fix the optic nerves with maybe stem cells. I don't know. I'm hoping. And I'm holding on to hope for that. And basically, all of this medication taking now is just to make sure it doesn't get to the point where it becomes too painful to keep. So, that is a couple of real life stories of the active harm you can cause yourself if you are trying to conform to being normal if you just aren't. And I wish I had kind of gotten that message sooner and not had so much shame and frustration, because as much as I have to be proud of, I've handled so much stuff while I was younger, and I'm still now handling a lot of stuff. there are instances where I 100%, if I had just had the foresight, I know I was a kid, I know. And I can't blame myself too much, but you gotta love yourself enough to take care of you if you know you're different. And that's about it. That's the point of this stories. I don't know what the fuck, why I chose to do this. I knew I would cry then. But, yeah, more personal. Candid talks. Wow. Yeah, talk about Candid. Yeah. That is why it is so important to just not force yourself to be in this box if it just doesn't fit. And especially if you're dealing with, like, conditions that make your life, more difficult or cause you to actively be isolated in some ways. Find community that you can relate to and still fight to take care of yourself properly the way you need to, so you don't end up damaging yourself like I did in a couple of areas. So, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed. It's a little bit of a gut puncher episode. So, I don't know. Have a good one.